How you guys doing? This is Rich from RICHTVLIVE, the number one cannabis stock influencer in the world. And I wanted to thank you guys for joining me here on a holiday in Canada. That's why you see the beard. Kind of let it grow. Kind of let it grow a little bit. Letting the beard grow kind of similar to letting the cannabis stocks grow. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving in Canada. Happy Columbus Day to everybody in America. A lot of people don't know this, but Christopher Columbus was Portuguese. It's true. I know Italians are taking credit for it, but he used the Italian ships. But he's Portuguese, believe me. Will Afria go up another 40% tomorrow? I don't think so, but it's possible. I heard the CEO talking about the fact that he anticipates good results. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go up 40%, but I don't think it will, just because the market right now is under so much negative sentiment. It's like they're stuck in the mud. It's like we're stuck in the mud. But in my opinion, this is the best time to buy cannabis stocks in 2 years. These are the lowest prices we've seen in the cannabis sector in 2 years. So while the prices are coming down for the entire sector, for the most part, the revenues keep going up. Eventually, as these prices come down and the revenues go up, we are going to meet a situation where these companies are now no longer overvalued, overappreciated, overexposed, and soon we're going to see a sector where everything is undervalued, underappreciated, underexposed, and that's when we see the skyrocket. In my opinion, all the top cannabis companies are going to double. Aurora Cannabis will double, Afria will double, Canopy Growth will double, Tilray will double, Kush Bottles will double, Curaleaf will double, Trulieve will double, Harvest Health and Recreation will double, Green Growth Brands will double, Green Thumbs will double. When we see the next resurrection, all the top cannabis companies will double. So the people that get in now are the ones that are going to make bank. The people that get in at these levels right now are going to make bank. You can book it. These prices are, they're not ridiculously low, but they're the lowest we've seen in 2 years. It's a holiday in Canada. It's Thanksgiving, and the markets are closed in Canada. I would not be surprised to see Afria push the markets up tomorrow. I think there's going to be some stocks that are going to go up 100%. I think some stocks are going to go up 200%. Some stocks will go up 1,000%. We needed the market to come back down. This sector, in order to be healthy, needed for these stocks to come down to real valuations based on real fundamentals, real revenue, and real profit. These stocks are not trading on real profit. There's little to no profit in the entire sector. We're just starting to now see revenue. So now we're starting to see revenue, and now we're starting to see some profit, but it's little profit. When we start seeing bigger revenues, and when we see bigger profits, you're going to see bigger prices, and everybody that bought at these levels is going to win big. But I tell you guys, invest in the best, because the best is blessed. Invest in the best. Don't just buy these penny stocks right now. Don't buy a bunch of cannabis companies because they're low, okay? Invest in the best companies. Aurora Cannabis, Afria, Trulieve, Curaleaf, Green Thumb. Those are the best. Those are the ones that are blessed. They give you the best chance to win. Great companies at reasonable prices. I'm staying away from everything like the Tilrays that are too high, the canopy growths that are too high, the IIPRs that are too high, the GW pharmas that are too high, in my opinion. I just think that they're very, very risky. I do think GW pharma goes way higher, but I ain't buying anything in the cannabis sector at $100. I ain't buying anything at $20. I ain't buying anything over $10, to be honest with you. I've been saying this since the beginning. I'm not buying anything over $10 because none of these companies can justify their price point. None of them. All you got to do is go to BNN Bloomberg, listen to BNN Bloomberg for a few days. Listen to when people call in the fund managers, okay? When they call in the fund managers and they say, oh, hi, sir, can you give me your opinion on Aurora Cannabis? They're like, yeah, no. And then they're like, why? And they say, well, because I can't wrap my head around the valuations. They got no profit, but yet they're trading at this price. This makes no sense. This is what I've been hearing from BNN Bloomberg for literally the last 2 years. Now that these prices are starting to come down and down and down and down and down to almost ridiculous levels, are they really ridiculous, or were these prices ridiculous before? In my opinion, the prices were ridiculous before. So now what's happening is they're bringing the prices down to more realistic levels, and the revenue is growing and the profitability is growing while they bring the prices down. Soon, we're going to see them at a price where they should be. And at that point, when we start to see more and more profit growing, and guess what? Edibles legalization is coming, which is going to be more profit. That's an additional 30 to 40% profit for all of these companies in Canada starting in 60 days. So in 60 days, they're going to have even more profit. So as the profits keep growing and growing and the revenues keep growing and growing and the prices keep coming down, eventually we're going to see a bottom. And then the entire conversation is going to be different. Everybody's going to come out with article after article coming out talking about how undervalued they are, how underappreciated they are, how underexposed they are, and how it's a great time to buy, and how everything could double. Just remember who told you first they're all going to double. Your boy. Remember who told you first they're all going to double. Because remember this, people are not going to stop smoking cannabis. People are not going to stop using cannabis products. People are not going to stop using CBDs. They're just getting started. People are not going to stop using hemp product. That's just getting started. People are not going to stop using edibles. That's just getting started. Do you see what's coming here? Do you see what's coming here? Cannabis-infused beverages hasn't even started. That's coming. Edibles hasn't even started. That's coming. Marijuana legalization in America hasn't even really started. That's coming. Catalyst after catalyst after catalyst after catalyst. But what needed to happen was that these valuations had to come down so that the big institutions, the big guys and girls that make all decisions at the top, they could buy. The valuations needed to come down to realistic numbers so that the real investors, the institutional investors, the big money managers, the hedge funds, the whales, so that they could buy. They needed to wrap their heads around these valuations. How can anybody wrap their head around canopy growth trading at $70 and losing 1.2 billion a quarter? It didn't make any sense. These numbers didn't make any sense. They had to slash the prices down. They had to take them down so they could take them up. It's a game, okay? It's a game. And eventually, the revenues will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets to the point where this is the fastest growing, most profitable sector in the world. And at that point in time, you're going to be too late. Everything's already going to double from here. So this may be the last time. I said maybe. I don't know for sure, because I'm not the guy that makes those decisions. This may be the last time we ever see these prices again in the cannabis sector. We may never see these low levels again, Because as the prices keep coming down due to the fact that they're overvalued, overappreciated, overexposed, and the revenues go up, eventually they're going to be undervalued, underappreciated, underexposed, and they're going to have no more room to come down. They're only going to go up from there. So the key right now is to really, really, really position yourself in the best companies at the lowest prices. These prices are a gift. Canopy growth, Aurora Cannabis, Afria at these prices is a gift. Now, just because I say it's a gift, it doesn't mean it can't go lower. It can definitely go lower. I also believe it can go way, way higher. But a lot of times they're going to go lower before they go higher. A lot of times they're going to go lower before they go higher. That's the market. And the reality is, I can't control the markets. I'm just an investor like everybody else. What I can do is I can control my emotions. And right now I'm just sitting on the sidelines and I'm watching these prices go down, 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 down. And I'm just watching. I'm like, okay, let's just keep watching. Let's just keep watching. Let's keep watching. And eventually you're going to see the prices hit the bottom, which if they haven't already hit the prices, they're pretty damn close. Like, we're pretty close to the bottom. Now, remember, there are a couple reasons why they could go lower. One is tax loss season. We're going into tax loss season in Canada. So anybody who wants to show a loss for 2019, all they got to do is sell for a loss in the next couple months here, and they'll be able to show a loss. So that's going to put, in my opinion, a lot of negative pressure on these stocks over the next couple months. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go lower. Initially, I thought that we were going to see a resurrection in September. First week of September, we did. Since then, it's come back down. I'm starting to think that the next big resurrection is going to come in January. Last year, we had a huge resurrection in January after months of negative beatdowns on the sector right after legalization. It was just negative, negative, negative. The entire sector got beat down. Everything went down. And then out of nowhere in January, everything exploded. So we have a lot to look forward to in January, like edibles legalization, which is happening December 17th. It's happening this Thursday in Canada, October 17th, this Thursday. Edibles legalization is official, but it will be delayed for 60 days before any companies can actually put any products on the shelves. So mid-December is when edibles legalization will actually take place, which means we won't really see any real substantial revenue for companies until January. So January, February, March, I believe, is going to be huge for these companies because they're going to start showing additional revenue thanks to edibles, specifically in Canada, in January, February, March of 2020. So we'll probably start seeing some of that revenue growth in Q2 2020, Q3 2020. So now we're going into 2020. So yeah, the next couple months are going to be tough. It's going to be a grind. I would not be surprised to see it go down even lower over the next 10 weeks. Now, it's not to say that they can't explode. They could explode tomorrow, okay? I'm just saying that with tax selling season coming, with all the negative press coming out right now in the cannabis sector, with the CanTrust scandal still, swerving around, and we're waiting for Health Canada to see what they're going to do as far as, they've taken the license away, but will they give it back? Nobody knows. I still think there's a lot of negative press that's going to hold this down for a few more weeks. In my opinion, we probably see this stay down until January now. That's my opinion. Hope I'm wrong. I hope this turns around tomorrow. I really do. I just don't see it happening yet. I don't see it happening yet. I still think that the powers that be, the elite, they want to take these prices lower. They want these prices to go to real fundamental levels that a market maker, a hedge fund, a fund manager, mutual fund manager, somebody that's in the fund business, somebody that's in the financial sector can actually look at these companies, look at their fundamentals, and say, this is a good company. Look at their revenue, look at their profitability, look at their revenue growth, look at the sector they're in, look at their cost per gram. This is a good investment for me. And people can park their money. This is the process of going from illegal to legal, to going from an illegal business for a century or longer to going legal in less than a year. Nobody said it was going to be easy. And there's been huge runs up and there's been huge runs down. I think when they're down is the time to buy, and when they're up, that's the time to sell. We got 109 people here and 22 likes. You guys got to get your likes game up, man. You guys got to get the likes game up. 20% likes? Come on, guys. Who else is showing up here, man, on a holiday? Giving you guys this education, bringing you guys winners every single day for the last 2.5 years. Citation Growth Corp, another one of my picks that I brought you guys, is up again today, by the way. Another company that's been going up that everyone has been talking about in our community is Medicine Man. Congratulations to anybody who's been winning on Medicine Man. They've been climbing up, even though the entire sector has been getting beat up. So even though the entire sector is getting beat up, there's still a lot of examples of companies that have done well. Oh, we're going to make it happen. I promise you that. Just like that, we're up to 47 likes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, guys. We just doubled our likes like that. Just like that. Let's double it again. So, I'm going to be here every step of the way. I fully anticipate Afria having good numbers. It could be a catalyst. It could turn things around. I honestly feel like this entire sector is down because it had to be. I think this entire sector is down because it had to be. Yeah, definitely the sector is under a lot of attack, but it had to be. It had to be. The sector had to be under attack because we were overpriced, we were overvalued, we were overappreciated, we were overexposed. The prices could not be justified. These companies had no profit. And in my opinion, the way the market works, based on, if you look at any company that's on a senior exchange, typically you're going to see a stock trade $10 for every billion in sales. That's kind of typical. Well, there's not even one company other than Scotts Miracle-Gro that has $1 billion in sales. There's not even one company. Not even one company other than Scotts Miracle-Gro that has $1 billion in sales. And Scotts Miracle-Gro has $3 billion in sales, $372 million in net income, and they're trading over $100. That's where these companies are going. That's where these companies are going. Yeah, well, in a couple more earnings, ACB will be profitable. That will be the time when you see ACB resurrect. Until then, I believe that we are going to see a tougher time in the markets, and nobody's really going to see anything. No one's going to see anything really happen in the sector until we start seeing some substantial profits. And the companies that start seeing substantial profits will be the ones that will explode. The companies that don't will just consistently struggle, and you're not going to see their share prices go up unless they're doing some type of a marketing campaign, which will be short-lived. They'll be short-lived. So a stock will only sustain a high share price if they have good fundamentals to justify the share price. So if you are looking to invest in a cannabis company, you need to really start looking at their fundamentals. You need to look at their financials. You need to look at their revenue. You need to look at their profitability. If you listen to any institutional investor, they all say that they are not buying cannabis companies. If you're an investor and you're an institutional investor and you're not buying cannabis companies, ask yourself why an investor that invests in stocks that are going to go up is not buying cannabis companies. Ask yourself why. They're not stupid. If they have a chance to make money, they're going to make it. Why wouldn't they be buying these cannabis companies? Ask yourself that question. They can't wrap their head around the fundamentals. They can't wrap their head around companies that are trading at $10, $20, $30 and have no profitability. They can't wrap their head around it because that's not normal. That's not normal for the street. So this sector will blow up when the institutions look at these companies and say, okay, Aurora Cannabis is making $300 million a quarter and their profit is $50 million a quarter. Now they can wrap their head around those numbers. Now they can look at it and justify where it's trading or where it should be trading or where the future price should trade at. The market is all knowing. Don't think that there's cannabis stocks out there and institutions don't know. They know. Believe me, they know. Why are they not buying? Ask yourself that. Why are they not buying? If this is the biggest, most exciting opportunity in the stock market in 20, 30 years, why are all the large institutions not buying? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. Why are all the large institutions not buying if this is the highest, most exciting, most lucrative opportunity of our generation? They must know something, right? They are not buying because the prices are too high. When the prices come down, which they're down now, and they get to a point where they're justifiable based on companies' fundamentals, based on companies' revenues, based on companies' profitability, then you're going to see the large institutions start pouring in, and pouring in. And I'm talking about institutions that have billions. Only the small ones have millions. The bigger ones, they all have billions to invest. And then they're not going to buy one or two. They're going to buy them all. They're going to buy them all. And they're going to buy them cheap. They're going to buy them all. And they're going to buy them cheap. Dylan Fraser says institutions are in Africa. That's for sure. Why? Because they're profitable. Exactly. And institutions are in Aurora. And institutions are into cannabis growth. And institutions are into labs. Institutions are going to get into the companies that have the most profitability. Institutions will get into companies that have the most profitability. Thank you guys for the 56 likes. We got 118 people watching. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Canada. Happy Columbus Day to everyone in America. You are watching your boy from Rich TV Live. I am a influencer in the cannabis sector. Have been for 2.5 years. I will continue to be. And man, this is a crazy sector. This is a crazy sector. There's crazy highs and crazy lows. And there's insiders that are selling stock. There's funders that are shorting stock. There's financiers that are doing debt spirals on these stocks. And that's what makes this sector so crazy, so engaging, so interesting, so addictive, is the amount of highs and lows in the sector. You can make money up and you can make money down. I've been telling you guys, if you want to make money down, you can buy puts. You could be buying puts right now on Aurora if you think it's going to go lower. You can buy puts right now on Tilray if you think it's going to go lower. You can buy puts right now on Cannabis Growth if you think it's going to go lower. You can buy puts right now on Hexo if you think it's going to go lower. Hexo just had some bad news come out. They're being investigated by the SEC right now. That's not going to help Hexo. So would not be surprised to see them go lower, which they are today, on that news. That's a fantastic put if you want to position yourself in a company that's going to go lower and you know that a company is going to be getting sued or that there is going to be an SEC investigation. That's a perfect opportunity for you to either short that stock or put a put on that stock, buying contracts, betting that it's going to go low and making money on the way down. Another way to make money in the cannabis sector, if you think it's going to go lower, is the HMJI ETF. You could purchase the HMJI ETF, which is the short ETF. And as the sector goes down, you could be making money. On Friday, the HMJI ETF went up 8%. 8%. And I told you guys about them the week before, telling you, hey, if you think that this market's going to go down, HMJI ETF is a great way to make money. Since I said that and made that video, the HMJI ETF is up 10%. So it's gone up another 10% since I brought you that video. And that's really kind of what I want to do, is use this as a platform to educate people about this sector. Clearly, if you're buying stocks in the cannabis sector to make money and you want to make quick money, buying long-term for these stocks is very risky because we don't know when it's going to get better. We don't know when it's going to get better. Nobody does. So just buying these stocks right now and hoping for the future is not the best way to make quick money. Okay? Why isn't CINA price updating? In Canada, the market's closed today. You got to look at the US symbol. If you guys want to look at cannabis stocks today, you got to look at the American ones. Zenabis symbol in America is ZBISF. That is the American symbol for Zenabis. But this is a new sector. The sector is going to go through ups and downs. It's definitely going through a downtime right now, which in my opinion is actually a really good thing. In my opinion, this is a good thing. Can I cover extraction stocks? Well, I think everybody knows I love labs. I've been loving them since the beginning. I'm a very big fan of Valence Grow Works. Pump is okay. They got a lot of shares issued and outstanding. I also like Radiant Technologies. Even though they've done poorly and the stock hasn't done anything, I do like their technology. And I think Radiant Technologies long-term is going to do very well. I like Fire. I like the underlying business in Fire. They just suck with their stock. They're like a lot of the companies right now. They just are struggling to do anything with their stock. But I really like the underlying business. Yeah, I think Afria's earnings are going to be strong tomorrow. I anticipate their earnings to be very strong. If I had to pick just one pot stock to break out, which one would it be? I think Aurora is going to go way higher. I think Aurora is going to go way higher. I think Afria is going to go way higher. I think Cureleaf is going to go way higher. I think Trueleaf is going to go way higher. I think Green Thumb is going to go way higher. I just gave you guys 5. Adrian asks, Rich, FSD split, your thoughts? I don't like splits. I think in this situation, they really had no choice. Clearly, they can't control all the selling, which is funny because, I mean, it's their company. So when you can't control the selling, it shows you kind of, you know, they've lost control. But yeah, so FSD Pharma does a reverse split. Stock is going to go way higher. Amount of shares are going to go way lower. In theory, this is a good thing, right? In theory, this is a good thing because they're going to have less shares, less dilution, higher share price. However, what we've already seen with FSD Pharma is that, and what we've seen in the past from me being involved in many reverse splits over the years, is that 99.9% of the time, companies that do reverse splits fail right after the reverse split. And they go right back down right after the reverse. Why? Because shareholders don't like it when the amount of shares they had shrinks. So all of a sudden, if a company does 100-to-1 reverse and they had 100,000 shares, all of a sudden now they have 1,000 shares. People don't like that. They don't. So a lot of times what people do is they're going to sell before the reverse, which we saw on Friday, tons of selling, and they're going to sell after the reverse. This is pretty standard. 99.9% of the time, this is going to happen. The 0.1% that actually works, it's because the company actually has a plan. The company is going to do everything they can to make sure that after the reverse, that they're going to keep the share structure tight. They're not going to be diluting the stock, that they have to buy it back themselves if they have to, in order to get the stock going in the right direction. If they're able to get it going in the right direction post-reverse, it could be a huge success, because at that point in time, they're going to have way less dilution, way tighter share structure, higher share price, should be easier for them to raise capital. There's a lot of positives. But a lot of times what happens is right after the reverse, everybody starts selling and the stock will go right back from, let's say it goes from 5 cents to $1. It's going to go right back from $1 back down to 5 cents. And then that turns into just the worst nightmare you could ever imagine. And I've seen it many, many, many times. No, Xena is not profitable yet. And that's why it's easy for these market makers to take these stocks under $1, because how can you justify being trading over $1 if you have no profits? And like I said, in my opinion, based on being around the markets for a long time, a company should trade at $1 for every 100 million in revenue. So if Xena's at 25 million in revenue, they shouldn't be at $1 anyways, because they're not even at 100 million in revenue. And if you want to trade at $10, you should be doing at least $1 billion in revenue. And none of these companies are doing $1 billion in revenue, with the exception of Scotts Miracle-Gro, which is doing $3 billion in revenue, has 55 million shares issued and outstanding, 372 million in net income, and is trading at $100. That's the markets. So if you want to be a Scotts Miracle-Gro, you need to get into the billions in revenue, and you need to get into the hundreds of millions of net income if you want to be at that level. And that is the example that every single cannabis company should be aspiring to, in my opinion. Yeah, I think a lot of these companies are going to go down based on the fact that their revenues are nowhere close to where they should be. And that's why a lot of people are still saying that these companies are overvalued. That's the thing. Kronos Group doesn't make a lot of cash, not yet. Doesn't have a ton of revenue yet, but they've got $1 billion partner behind them, similar to Cannabis Growth, and that's why the prices were so high. But if you ask an institutional investor, all the institutional investors will tell you that they're not buying Cannabis Growth and Kronos Group because they can't wrap their heads around the valuations. Is ACB overvalued? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, everyone in the cannabis sector is overvalued. Everybody. And we needed the sector to come back down to real valuations so that real investors can really position themselves. What we're seeing right now in the cannabis sector is that the risky investors are getting in. Guys like me. Cannabis enthusiasts are getting in. People like me. But it's not the real street guys that are buying Cannabis Growth. Okay? The real hedge funds, the real institutional investors, the real big players on the street, the only thing they're doing right now is shorting these stocks and buying puts. That's a fact. Because they can't wrap their heads around these valuations. Yeah, in my opinion, Aurora Cannabis is still overvalued at $4. Because Aurora Cannabis has no profit. Until they actually show profit, they're overvalued. The street wants profitability. And until they actually show profits, they are overvalued. Yeah, you made $100 million in sales, but you still lost money. There's no profit. The street wants profit. I mean, it's possible for everything to go lower. If a stock like Xena goes from 680 to 60 cents, why can't they go to 30 cents? Why can't they go to 10 cents? They're going to go as low as they go. I can't control that. All I can do is when I see them get really, really low and I feel like they're at the bottom, I can buy a bunch of more shares cheap. I can buy a bunch of more shares cheap. So in my opinion, this is the best time for investors to get into the cannabis stocks. Thank you guys for the 67 likes. We got 118 people watching. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please smash the like button. Share the video everywhere. We are talking cannabis stocks. It's been crazy for the last 7 months. A lot of people have been panicking for the last 7 months. But in my opinion, this is the best thing that could have ever happened to the cannabis sector. We needed this to happen to start getting all the big boys from Bay Street and Wall Street investing in our sector. And believe me, it's coming. It's coming. Because at some point, these companies are going to start to show profit. And when the profits get exponential and they just keep growing quarter over quarter, that's when you're going to see these companies explode. Look at TrueLeaf. TrueLeaf is a great example. Other than Scott's Miracle-Gro, they're the #1 most profitable company in the entire sector. Over the last 2 months, while everybody's been falling, TrueLeaf has been climbing. And I told you guys they were my #1 pick in August. Told you they were my #1 pick in September. And I told you they were my #1 pick in October. And over the last 3 months, while everybody else has been falling, TrueLeaf was falling. And now they've been slowly climbing up. While everybody else is falling, TrueLeaf has been climbing. And I told you guys why. Because they're profitable. They're profitable. Profitable companies will be the biggest and the best companies in this sector. Yeah, but you know what the problem with Tilt is? Tilt has amazing sales. Tilt is another Cannabis. Tilt took 4 businesses, 1, 2, 3, 4, and said, let's amalgamate into one. Then all 4 companies receive shares. So guess what they're doing? They're all fighting each other to sell those shares. Those people from those 4 companies that came together are all fighting each other to sell shares. It's driving the price down. This is the problem with these companies. They understand how to grow weed, some of them. They're very good at making revenue in the weed business, but they know nothing about the public sector. And when you take 4 companies and you give them all shares, say, all right, everyone, go to town, they did. And they went to town so aggressively that they took the entire price down. They cratered the price of Tilt. In my opinion, Tilt is one of the most undervalued companies in the entire sector. But as long as you have all of those people selling shares, it's going to continue to take the prices down. It's going to continue to take the prices down. You got 4 companies. Everyone's been issued blocks of shares. Everybody's fighting each other to sell. What do you think is going to happen? It's Armageddon. And the brokers have those shares on their desk. They see, oh, Canaccord's like, okay, there's 4 people from this company all trying to sell. They call up their buddies in Zurich, say, hey, I got all these shares on my desk. I got 100 million shares, and these guys all want to sell. Maybe you guys should short. So they call up their buddies in Zurich, in Germany, tell them to short. They start shorting that stock all the way down from $2 down to wherever it's at right now. At some point, they're going to cover, and it's going to come back up. But it's just ridiculous, the amount of games that are being played in these markets. Five Finger Limited says, I pick up 50 shares of CGC for $17, $17.98 US. I never thought I would get them so cheap. It's perfect time to load up. See, you're thinking smart. You're thinking smart. And Canopy Growth has got more institutional funding and more institutional investors than anybody. They got more institutional investors than anybody. So they are like the mothership as far as cannabis stocks. They got more institutional funding, more institutional investors tied up in that stock than anybody, because they were the first. They were the first, and they were the biggest. And that's why everybody's poured into cannabis. A lot of people right now are making money shorting cannabis. Since Bruce Linton got fired, Canopy was the short. Canopy is down over 50% since Bruce got fired. That was the short. Joe Cracker says, do you think Zena will be a top 10 company within 5 years? I think Zena has what it takes to be a top 10 company as far as the underlying business. As far as the stock is concerned, I'm disgusted with the way management is managing their stock. Disgusted. Well, I think that anybody that's a cannabis stock investor or enthusiast is going to go through ups and downs over the next few years as this industry matures. But if you give yourself some time and you give the industry time to grow and mature and flourish, you will win big. You will win very, very big. Remember, the dot-com bubble, out of the dot-com bubble, what came out of it? Amazon, Google, Facebook. These are all companies that thrive off of the internet. Without the internet, these companies don't exist. Twitter. These companies don't even exist without the internet. And some of these companies are now the biggest companies in the world. I anticipate the same thing happening in the cannabis sector. Not only will these companies become powerful players, they will be some of the most powerful companies in the world. I'm talking about Canopy Growth. I'm talking about Aurora Cannabis. I'm talking about Afria. I'm talking about Curaleaf. I'm talking about Green Thumb. I'm talking about TrueLeaf. I believe that some of these are going to talk about C-Web, Tilray. These are going to be some of the most powerful cannabis companies in the world. Yes, I did hear about FSD Pharma doing a reverse. And like I said, I think in their situation, it might be a good thing. However, 99.9% of the time, when companies do a reverse split, it ends up in ruins. So I would be very careful with FSD Pharma. They've clearly turned into a nightmare. Drinks and edibles are going to be a giant, says Five Finger Limited. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Yep, the CFO for Hexo resigned. Yep. And whenever you see a CFO or a CEO resign from any company, it's always bad news. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see more bad news to come. But like I said this before, and I'll say it again, when this type of bad news comes, it's an amazing buying opportunity. You were at a wedding this weekend and everybody was eating edibles? Yeah, that's the future, man. That's the future. Edibles, CBDs, cannabis-infused beverages. Old people, young people, middle-aged people. Yeah, I'm not surprised. What do I think about Green Growth Brands? Well, I was the first one to bring Green Growth Brands. I think they have a great CEO. I think they're in the right business in the CBD space. I think they have huge upside. I really, really like them. I like them a lot. So yeah, hold in there, hang in there. This cannabis sector is only going to mature and get bigger and better. I mean, it's hard to justify what anything share price is when you're showing losses. Got to show some profits. Well, hey, man, you know what? The sector's going to go through ups and downs. And when it's down, I'm going to be here. And when it's up, I'm going to be here. And when it's down, I'm going to be telling everyone to buy. And when it's up, I'm going to be telling everybody to sell. And this is not the first time it's been down, and it won't be the last. And when it goes up, it won't be the first time it's up, and it won't be the last. No updates on Sokoman minerals. So I just wanted to say what's up to everybody. Everyone's been wondering where I've been all weekend. It's been a long weekend. I didn't really want to bother with too many videos. I didn't really feel like there was that much to talk about. More negatives than positives recently. However, through it all, we have identified some winners. Citation Growth Corp. I brought it to you guys. It's now at 46% since I did my first video. It's been flying. I'm going to continue to find you guys winners. We're going to continue to do due diligence. We're going to continue to educate the public about cannabis companies. We're going to continue to bring the news, good, bad, or ugly. And we're going to be here. We're going to be here every step of the way. We're going to be here every step of the way. And I foresee a day 5, 10, 20 years down the road where everybody that's investing now and learning about these stocks and everybody that's positioned themselves in this sector are going to become very, very wealthy. Very wealthy. Because we are mastering this sector. We are mastering this game. 2.5 years ago, I didn't know this much about the cannabis stocks. I was just learning. 2.5 years later, I feel like I've started to learn a lot more about these companies. I feel like we're getting more and more in depth with what it's going to take to identify which are going to be the winners. And I think if you look back 2.5 years ago to when we started to where we are now, I think like we are so in the right lane, you know, like, yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, it would have been nice to get in, but nobody really knew. Like 5 years ago, when I was talking about cannabis companies and I would go to a broker and try to deposit that stock, they wouldn't even take it. You couldn't deposit a cannabis company 5 years ago. You couldn't. You couldn't deposit a cannabis stock 4 years ago. I don't even think you could really deposit a cannabis stock. Yeah, maybe about 4 years ago it started where you could actually deposit those stocks. So we've come a really long way. A lot of people don't understand. You couldn't even deposit the stock. Now we're getting to the point where not only can you deposit the stock, but there's cannabis companies that are on the senior exchange, the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. We've come a long way in 4 years from not being able to deposit the stock to now being on senior exchanges. And now that we're on a senior exchange, now that we're playing with the big boys, what's the next level? Now the banks need to start funding these companies. The Safe Banking Act in America is so big because if they can start actually funding these companies, now we're going to go from not being able to deposit the stocks to being able to deposit the stocks to actually having them listed on a senior exchange and then actually having banks investing in them in America and Canada and internationally. Hey man, I don't know about you guys, but I see progress. I see it everywhere. Now, yeah, they probably got overhyped. They got overpromoted, overexposed, overappreciated. People made tons of money on the first wave up. Congratulations. Now we're waiting on the next wave where more institutionals will get in. More big money is going to get in. More investors are going to get in. More and more money is just going to keep pouring into this sector. And as that money starts to pour in the sector, we're going to see them explode again. And when they explode from these prices, I anticipate the upside to be anywhere from 50 to 100% on the low side to 500 to 1,000% or higher on the high side. That's how much upside I see coming in this sector. Because remember, they've been dragging them down based on little to no real fundamentals while the revenues are growing. Soon the revenues are going to be so big that they're going to be undeniable. And then the profits are going to be big. They'll be undeniable. And then they're going to be undervalued, underappreciated, underexposed. And then you're going to see them skyrocket. They can't go down forever while the revenues are growing. It's not like they're coming down while the revenues are going down. They're coming down while the revenues are skyrocketing. Delta 9 is a great example. I was talking about Delta 9 last week. Delta 9 revenues grew by 1,100% in 1 year. 1,100% in 1 year. That is staggering growth. That is staggering growth. Staggering growth. So, yeah, if you're an investor and you see companies that are growing by 1,000% and they're going down, at some point it's going to hit the bottom because the revenue is going to keep growing. And now what is essentially being said is revenue is not enough. We want to see profit. We want to see profit. We want to see profit. So, all right, cannabis companies, it's time to show profit. Time to flex your muscles. Time to show the world what you guys are capable of. Everybody knows the cannabis sector is lucrative. Everybody knows that there's tons of money to be made in the cannabis sector. The key now is these companies need to start turning a profit. And then once they start turning a profit, those profits need to grow quarter over quarter over quarter. A year ago, we were not even close to where we're at. We weren't. We weren't even close to where we're at. Despite the fact that we're way lower, we are not even close to where we were a year ago. The revenue growth has grown exponentially for the majority, if not all, of these cannabis companies that we talk about every day. So where are we going to be a year from now? Companies that are doing 100 million a quarter, like Aurora Cannabis, will probably be doing 200 million a quarter by this time next year. Companies like Cannabis that are doing 25 million a quarter will probably be doing 100 million a quarter by this time next year. That's the growth potential. It's exponential growth. And at that point, you would hope that these companies will start showing profitability. And at that point, that's when you're going to see a lot of these stocks start to skyrocket and trade where they should based on their profit. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope you have a fantastic Columbus Day. Everyone that's watching all over the world, have a great day. Don't panic. Don't get concerned with where the prices are today, okay? If you got caught buying too high, be patient, wait for the turnaround because it's going to come. If you've got a really good company that you like and you feel like it's really low and you feel like the prices are a gift, my opinion is buy more at those lower levels, lower your cost, get a bunch of cheap shares so that when the stocks skyrocket, you'll be able to take your profits off the table and stay in cash and then wait for another apocalypse in the cannabis sector because it seems to happen quite readily, and that's the time to buy. Like right now, if you're in cash, it could not be a better time to buy. Really, this is literally the perfect time to buy. Now, in saying that, it could go lower. It could still go lower, folks. We could still go lower. And that will be even a better buying opportunity. But just because we can go lower, it doesn't mean that we're not going to go higher. Because when we do go higher, and we will, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. Mark my words. And don't say I didn't warn you. And don't say I didn't prepare you. And don't say I didn't educate you. Because that's all I've done since day one. And we're going to be launching a options trading course. So very soon, you guys will be able to make money on the way down. You guys can buy the HMJI ETF, so you can make money on the way down. And you guys can short stocks too. So if you want to make money and you think that these stocks are going to keep going down and you want to follow the trend, you can short stocks, you can short cannabis stocks, and you can make money on the way down too. Okay, guys, thank you guys for watching. This is Rich from RICHTVLIVE. If you're not winning, you're not watching. We bring in the winners and we bring them to you first. Look at Citation Growth Corp. Brought it to you last week. It was up Thursday, Friday, up again today. Bring in winners. We'll bring them to you first. It's true. Your boy Rich from RICHTVLIVE. And I'm out. Peace. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Columbus Day. I'm out.